Welcome to the Bare Naked Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Simmons. I am a psychologist, humanitarian, and entrepreneur. The Bare Naked Podcast is about truth and authenticity. It is about creating an atmosphere where we could have courageous conversations without being judged. Our goal is to cultivate healing, understanding, and transformation. This week, we are going to be talking about trust issues. This is something that we hear a lot about, but I wonder how much do we have a true understanding of what it is. So just to help nourish the conversation, I actually included a few guests that will be with us sharing their experience about trust issues and what they have gone through, as well as they'll be giving advice on what to do if a person does have trust issues. But for starters, when we talk about trust issues, we're talking about fear of betrayal, abandonment, or manipulation that a person feels in relation to others. A lot of times it shows up in our friendships, it shows up in our relationships, it even shows up in our relationships with ourself or in our relationship with ourselves. So let's delve into it. We're going to have on our show today Deborah Hill, Dr. Princess Gehyigon-Wallace. We're going to have Miss Wynn and as well as Martina Dorliae. So it should be a wonderful episode. Join us now as we discuss trust issues. Beyond excited to have our guests who will really delve into this topic for us. We've got some wonderful women and you are in for a treat. So trust issues, the theme, and we're going to get right into it. I'll start by having each guest introduce themselves, and then we will tell you about our thoughts on trust issues. All right, so we'll start with Dr. Wallace.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Gehyigon-Wallace. I am a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner here practicing in Minnesota. I've been working in healthcare for over 15 years, recently started my own private practice last year. So I'm excited to be a part of this conversation. Thank you for having me.
Next.
My name is Martina. I'm a nurse. I currently work in a long-term care facility, and what can I say? I've been working in the healthcare field for a while now. I would say about like 15 to 16 years when I started. So I enjoy what I do, and I'm currently back in school for what I like the most. So I'm here. This is very interesting. When it comes to trust issue, it's a very, very important topic. So I'm here for it.
Yes, my name is Wynn, and I am a staffing recruiter / coordinator. I also own my own business, Simply Elegant Events and Services. So I do events from large scales to small scales. So other than that, I'm a mom, a friend, a sister. So I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much, Dr. Simmons, for having me on.
Thank you for being on.
This is Deborah Pawell-Hill. I can't wait to hear from you guys. I'm a nurse. My background is in fertility medicine and urologist. And I just recently moved on to family medicine because I just wanted to broaden my knowledge. And what can a girl do? And I'm a mom, most important job in the world. Yeah. And I can't wait to hear your thoughts about trust issue, to see what I can grab there to add to my library. And thank you, Dr. Simmons, for having me on today.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you all for being here. I'm so excited. So, we talk about this whole concept of trust issue all the time, right? And we hear thrown around, oh, he got trust issue, oh, she got trust issue. And I want to hear your thoughts on when you hear people say this person has trust issue or that person has trust issue. What is that? What does that mean to you? And anyone can go.
Well, that's a great question, because I feel like from someone who had trust issues, I can say it means being suspicious of, a person or a group of people for no reason, right? Or not having a reason to be suspicious of that person. So to me, that's what trust issues mean. Now, it could be because, maybe you've had some betrayal in the past, you've had some abuse or trauma, and then certain experiences have made you have those trust issues. But when we just talk about trust issues and not diving into the reasons why, it would be maybe being suspicious of somebody for no apparent reason, or a group of people for no apparent reason.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would just like to jump in there. So trust issue, when the two words, every time I hear the two words, the first thing that comes to mind is fear. Because many times when people have trust issue, is because they're afraid of themselves, and then put that fear onto everybody else. Wherever their shortcoming would be, they kind of will bring that onto other people. Oh, I don't want to do this because when I do this, this is what will happen. Oh no, I don't trust. And there's this proverb that I heard mostly in the librarian setting. They say, when the snake bites you, you see the worm, you run. So because something had happened to them in time past, whether it was based on intimate relationship, just a friendship, sisterhood, they kind of take that, it follows them around. When you come around, you're friendly with them, they are afraid that, oh no, I can't go all in, I can't be invested, because then they will come back and bite me. The person might not carry me to the end, they might not be my ride and die. So they're always skeptical. They can't allow themselves let go of that fear, because that fear now becomes their power. Instead of looking at it as making them powerless, they look at it as power.
Wow, that's really good. So we've got fear, we've got suspicion. What else comes to mind? When you think about trust issues for you.
I think what comes to mind for me is that some almost like protecting yourself from others. So we have to always look at what point did trust issue come into play for someone, and it could be a lot of different triggers that will make one feel that they're unable to trust someone. So I think first we have to like dive deeper and try to see what will we as individuals define as trust issues, because it can vary in different areas of your life. So I think protecting yourself is what I would say, if I could just use those terms to define it.
I really, really like that, because I think each person has kind of touched something really important here, right? From fear-based to suspiciousness to protecting oneself. Martina, did you want to add anything to the conversation?
Sure. Like Princess mentioned in the past, like she mentioned earlier, maybe like she said, like past trauma. I will basically, go off that, because if you are already experienced what people have done to you in the past, of course, that will definitely become a huge, that plays a role of having that trust issues with someone else, with your family, with your loved ones, because you've been in that situation before. So I will go off on trauma.
Yeah. And I think you all are right? When I think of trust issues, when I heard you all talk, I thought about both ends of the continuum. So on the one end, it's like, okay, is trust, is fear or suspiciousness about the other person? That's what the person is feeling, right? In terms of that anxiety around like what to anticipate next. And then on the other side, though, Wynn brought up a good point, which is it's a protective mechanism, right? So for the person, it's not just that you are walking around intentionally trying to be distrusting, but rather that trust is rooted in, let me also try to protect, that mistrust rather is rooted in, let me try to protect myself, because something must have happened along the way. And, I think it's important to note that we're talking about trust issue, and the first word to that is trust. So if something becomes an issue, that tells me that like maybe there may have been a point where trust was established, right? Potentially, but it becomes an issue when that trust has been broken, or it's been somehow malfunctioned in some way, that something happened. So that brings me to my next question for you ladies. What do you think contributes, and you've touched on some of them, what do you think contributes to people getting to a place where they have trust issues?
think it's a lot of factors, right?
Yeah.
It could be like earlier mentioned past relationship traumas. If you've been in an abusive relationship in the past, if somebody was, controlling, if you trusted somebody and they betray that, and we see too, and it could be something you haven't experienced personally, but as we're seeing now in our community, you see a lot of friendships that are no longer existing, but then you see what they're doing to their friends that they once trusted, right? This is somebody you're with, this is your sister, you hung out with them, they knew personal details about you, and then now you're no longer friends and you're airing out their dirty laundry. So it's like, okay, well, if this person can do it to this person, I definitely don't want to have any female friends because they could do it to me too. And we see that play out on social media, and now with technology, it can go viral. It's embarrassing. So it could be a lot of factors, that have led to the trust issues.
Yeah. I really love that, Doc, in terms of there's trauma, there's relationships that you once trusted, right? Like, oh, this person would never do anything like this to me. This is my girl, this is my ride or die. And then something goes wrong, and all of a sudden you experience that aspect of them. And that sets the stage for, can I trust another person again?
Yes.
Now I don't know if I want any friends. I don't trust females like that because they be on some other stuff.
There's some other stuff.
So kind of establishing that. I wonder if you have other thoughts in terms of like what contributes to us having trust issues.
If I can jump in here, I'll say in regards to, I think that when we are, okay, at what point is it appropriate for us to start to say that we're having trust issues, especially when it comes to friendship? Because I think when a person is learning you and you're building a friendship, people are going to make mistakes because they don't know you. So I think it's important whenever, in order for us to not have so much, to have trust issues so early on in our friendship, is that you have to start to teach people about who you are as an individual. So when a person does something, you are able to, it's a teachable moment for the both of you. I think the only time you cannot move past that is that person is not willing to understand and learn you as a friend and to put whatever you share with them into play, and not to repeat whatever they've done in the past. Because I think a person who repeats something over and over, then you cannot trust that person because they're no longer listening and caring to understand and learn you as an individual and to respect the boundaries that you have put in place for your friendship.
Yeah, I feel like if the person keeps doing things to you and you feel like you cannot trust, well, and you don't feel secure, you don't feel value, in that relationship, why waste your time? It's time to exit. If you understand what I'm trying to say, like.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, go ahead.
So I just wanted to jump in there, and I'm glad that brought up back to why we're having the conversation, because it's about trust. When it's broken, then it becomes then an issue comes in. So, but one thing about trust, as the root word to our conversation, is that it's not built in the day.
No.
It has to be worked on. Meaning, to Wynn's points, along the way, somebody's going to slip. But hey, if I slip, just call me off on it and see what my reaction is. If my reaction is, oh, I'm going to put in the work to fix it, then we both are being invested.
Right.
But if I'm just pouring into you,
right,
and all you do is take and come back and hurt me, then it's a waste of time. And then what that does is, going forward, I don't want. I'm literally looking over my shoulder. If I just, as you and I have a conversation, even if you go back to somebody else and just have a brief conversation in passing, not even mentioning me, but I just hear a little bit of it, then my guys are up. Oh, see, this is the same thing that happened to me when I was with her, when I was with him. I said this, and you're going behind my back. She's doing the same thing again. Not even giving you the benefit of the doubt to really see that, no, she was really not just talking. She might have been using what we talked about to educate somebody, or to just make a point. But then because your trust have been broken and you live in a place of this deep fear, you can get other people the chance to learn you or other people the chance to grow.
Yeah.
Uh,
I really love what you all are saying about trust being built, because we live in a cancel culture community
yeah.
or time, right, where
Right.
once somebody does something one time, it's one and done, I'm over it. But what Wynn said, and then what Deborah is adding to, is the fact that things, people will make mistakes, people
Yeah.
may fall short at times, but it's important to be able to like build on things. Once you correct them, give them an opportunity to fix that issue, right? Don't just assume. But I think the key things that I'm hearing so far is the trust issues for certain has to do with insecurity or lack of trust of someone. It has to do with wanting to guard ourselves. It has to do with making sure we're in a protective state. And then as far as what underlies it, what pushes it, are things like trauma. And we're talking about trust issues kind of lightly, but I would say that trust issue is so deeply rooted, it's something that can be really painful. Because in order for you to trust someone, you all said, it's earned, not
Right.
given just naturally, right? But it requires the person, us, the person that's trusting, to be vulnerable. It requires you to let your guard down. It requires you to say, you know what, I'm gonna put my faith in this person, that they won't hurt me, that they won't completely destroy this security that I've given to them. And then when they do that, the pain, it does something to your psyche, because I think a lot of times it's a shock to your psyche, right? Because you think, whoa, I would have never in a million years thought that this person would be the one to do this thing, and once that has kind of shattered the way that you think about the person, it's easy for it to permeate in other areas of your lives, right? Where it's not just that person that was that did something that broke my trust. Do I now have to be suspicious of other people that even look like them, sound like them, even if they don't even look or sound like them? One person has proven to me that they cannot be trusted when I completely let my guard down and gave in. And now, why should I then trust the next person?
That's a great question. I feel like going back to the beginning, right? The friendship. I feel like things need to be established, like Wynn touch on and others touch on. You have to have open communication. I feel like you need to set boundaries. There needs to be transparency, letting the guard down, like you said, being vulnerable to others. So I feel like once you're teaching the person how to, I guess, be with you or deal with you or know how to handle you when these issues arise, you're able to then talk about it or know how to address it and then, move forward. But answering your question, which was how or who has, right?
Yeah, if any of us, if we're comfortable talking about moments or instances where we experience that breaking of trust in someone that we absolutely gave our trust to. And if you're comfortable sharing it, no pressure or anything.
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like for women, a lot of times, even with friendships, it's the man, a man or a past ex or a relationship. And I can certainly say that I've had trust issues in my previous relationships that have led to that relationship no longer existing, right? So, and then we'll, kind of dive into what it does. But I just want to say for me personally, it's been females and then mostly men, which really hurts when that trust is broken.
Yeah. I think for me, I have like this weird way of trusting someone, because I kind of study how people are around me. And I feel like when a person is so nice and too nice, and they're just like, just want to give me their all from the jump, I'm just like, what do you want? What do you want? I don't trust it from the jump. I always feel like there's an ulterior motive when a person is just so nice to me and kind to me. And that's not to say that I don't think there's not good people in the world, because I consider myself as a really good person, you know, so I know what it is to be kind to someone and love someone, but I'm just a person, I like to take baby steps. So I always feel like there's an ulterior motive when I feel like there's no reason given that you should be doing this or being this way or trying to put me in certain spaces and things with you. I'm just like, why? It just don't connect. So I've had those issues with females in particular, where I'm seeing that the friendship is being built on reasoning that you are trying to either get information or learn something, or just because it's just a moment in time that you need something from me, and so then once you got that, then we're done. So I've experienced that a lot. So I think I'm just so I'm really cautious with people who are super, super nice.
So for me, when it comes to trust issue, I have experienced it mostly from female friends, and I'm always good with a male friendship. Like I can have a wonderful platonic friendship with a man. For female, I always get stabbed in the back. It's my mother is a very meek woman. She don't say much. She literally said to me, "You rather forced to be friends with these girls? Do you have to have female friends?" But I just refuse to give up that there's still good women in this world that you can really build sisterhood with. But when I trust, I go.
Yeah.
I don't know how to hold back.
Yes.
This trust issues specifically to women, that's a whole conversation by itself.
A whole conversation.
I'm telling you, and I'm serious about us having to come back, like all of us having to come back to talk about that, because it's a big one. I'll let Martina go, and then I'll speak to the point that that Deborah just made.
I feel like, me personally, I'm a very nice, caring person because I know who I am. And I feel like people took advantage of that, meaning family. And of course, female friends. You understand what I'm saying? So, most of my trust issue will come from my family and female friends. I will tell you that for a fact. And so that's the reason I have a good friend over here. I consider her as my sister, and she loves people, but she always bringing people in our circle. And I keep telling her, I'm like, you have to pick who you bring in your circle. She'd be like, "Oh, Martina, you don't like people." I was like, it's not like I don't, because I have been, I should say, burned in the past. That's the reason why I'm very cautious about who you're bringing within our friendship. So, and she learned the hard way, not to trust everyone. And that's me, because I'm very observant. I would sit and be like, I don't like that person's spirit. That person's spirit do not connect with mine. So if you're bringing her, that's your friend. We're friends on this end. So when it comes to trust issue, yeah, I have learned come a long way, and I've learned a lot. Who to bring around and who not to bring around. And I feel comfortable having guys friends more than I can feel comfortable having, like I said, I do have a couple of sisters I can bring within my circle. And I love hanging out with certain older women, because I feel like, our generation nowadays, they are not truthful to themselves. So that's the reason why they're out there to come in your relationship. I mean, come to get to know you. I like pretend to be your friend, get to know more about you, and then carry your business out there or spread rumors and things about you and your family. So that's my trust issue problem.
Trust issues about to turn into a series. Family trust issues, relationship, female trust issues, and then male trust issues. Because it's big. It's a big topic to try to cover in like just a short period of time. But what I will say is, for sure, I mean, Martina can attest to this. Like, I always had more guy friends than I had girlfriends for all the reasons why we talked about. I still give girls the side eye. Like, no, because of previous experiences, and that's a whole conversation because I don't know why do we do that to each other, especially when you enter the relationship. You enter it wholly and just expecting the person to be real with you. But then for me personally, I have found over the years that like girls are sneaky. You know what I mean? Like they're smiling in front of your face, but then the moment you turn around, they're talking about blah 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 blah. And like either having caught people in their like shady behaviors or having learned after the fact about their shady behaviors has really taught me to be guarded over time. I definitely feel like people, especially when you carry yourself a particular way, people a lot of times want to come around not for a good reason. They want to come around for their own benefit, but not necessarily for the collective benefit of us all. Like let's help each other grow. Let's learn from each other. They're like, what can you do for me? Mm-hmm. And the moment you can't do that thing that they're asking for me, they're out of there. Mm-hmm. Or you heard all your little stories that you're not telling your little secret, it's out there on Broad Street. And so because of, previous experiences, it kind of sets you up where you're like, nah, I don't know. I'm going to keep a firm distance a little bit. And so now let's talk about the interesting part, which is what does trust issue look like behaviorally? How can you tell that a person has trust issue or that we are let me just say something really quickly because we talk about all the women, but we talk about no man stuff. But I can personally say I've had issues where, times where I completely trusted a particular person, trusted a word, man that is, trusted their word, trusted that person, and not think for a second that there would be that person. Because everybody comes in with all the best stories, right? Nah, that's not me. I'm not him. I'm not going to be like that. Dang, he did that. All the things that they claim they won't do. And then in it, guard down, you're all in. And for those of us that love hard, it's a problem. Because you just love hard, your nose in, you're swimming in it. And then you find out that this person that's cheesy in front of you, my woman, he's going to show you on Facebook, Instagram, all this stuff. And then they're doing things behind your back.
Behind your back.
And I know we ain't going to put no names out there. And we don't want to put our people out there. But I do think like trust issues can show up in our intimate partner relationship. And that is so painful when you go through that because you're not only distrustful of the person, but if they do something like that, now you're looking at their friendship circle. Like, so you all knew about this? You're in on it? And you're smiling, coming to the crib, eating my food.
Hold on. But that, hold on, Doc, because sometimes even females too that be, doing stuff, sometimes the friends don't be knowing. So sometimes the guys don't be knowing.
It's true. Sometimes the friends don't know, but sometimes the friends know, girl. I always tell people, right? So all of us have 3 lives.
Right.
We have our public lives.
Yeah.
We have our private lives, and we have our secret lives.
Yeah.
And so some people know your public life.
Right.
Some people know your private life. Mm-hmm. And then between you and God, and maybe one other person, probably just yourself, your secret life.
Right.
And so when some people are doing their shady business, they might keep it for their secret life. It's just them and nobody else know. But there are times where those people are doing those things, and the people that know their private lives, they got their little crew that is entangled with them, kind of encouraging them with that mess, right? Because they're all doing it. Oh my man!
So I said they're all doing it. Nobody's exempt.
No, go ahead.
The thing about it is that when they're doing that to you, mostly if it's a guy thing, the family. Because I've had a situation before, but it was just good on my part that I was like iffy.
Yeah.
But the family and you walking, looking, and then like, really, yo? Yeah. Okay, bye. But it's easy to say bye, to just pick up and say bye. But just imagine if you all vested and come see the mama, the sisters, the people that you sit down, you call your cassava leaf for, they eat it and drink 2 buckets of water and sweat. There and the guy, someone in your house, this person was to be a family friend, but who put tongue in family friend's mouth? Like, so yeah. So that's the thing. And then this is what this person said to me just a little while ago. I said, why you keep bothering me? Say, I love the generosity of your spirit. I said, oh, thank you. But guess what? This spirit is no longer generous to you.
No. Yeah.
This spirit is no longer generous to you. Because it's not a trust issue anymore. For me now, at this point, how I deal with that is I have to protect my spirit. I have to guard my space. You are not allowed. You are not allowed here. That wall is up. Jesus, know that wall is reaching. It's more than the one that the man built.
More than Jericho.
Yeah,
right.
It's more. You're not coming over here because I don't want to be polluted. No.
Yeah.
So
it's painful. It's painful, you know. So I wanted us to kind of get into how what does it look like for those of us that may have experienced our trust being broken? How then does it show up in our lives? You know what I mean? So for example, let's just talk about the cheating piece. Let's just say you were there, you've been cheated on, blah, 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 blah. A lot of times what that may look like is you not trusting that other, you know, your boyfriend there, your husband there, they're just on the phone, being real shady. You know what I mean? Even if they're not being shady, you see shade. You know what I mean? Because you're like, what's up? What are you doing? Right? Because you've experienced it before. So now you're triggered. So what are other ways that shows up behaviorally? So in our behaviors, how can you tell that like either somebody has trust issues, your partner or you yourself? How do you know when a person has trust issues behaviorally?
I think for me, it shows up. Let's just say, in the past, you've experienced someone, whether it's just something simple as lying to you, right? So you kind of judge or start asking your partner to prove things to you. So every time this person says I didn't go to the store at this time, I went here, you know, after I left the store, whatever, and you're like, no, you didn't, or let me see. You know, show me the receipt that whatever you bought over at that store. I don't believe that you went. So, you start to like, you know, watch whatever the person movement is like. You start needing receipts on things, and receipts just meaning like proof of things. You know, whether a person wants to be kind to you, you still want them to that you it's like you want them to prove their kindness before they can even show it to you, or you don't even believe that this person is being kind. Like, oh, you love me? You sure you love me? How do you know you love me? It's like, you know, it's like the person have to now continue to prove themselves to you. So you're always looking for some sort of what's the word?
Reassurance.
Reassurance. Yeah.
So questioning, needing reassurance, looking over to make sure that what it says they're doing it, and they're not doing something else.
Right.
Oh, that's a good one.
Picking a fight for no reason because you want to see this person can go. So you just pick a fight. And the phone thing too. They want to know your location. They've got their location on. When you talk
for iPhone,
then the person open the window and act like they're busy in the kitchen, but no, they're all in your conversation.
Right.
Or maybe they're going back playing the video recording of the backyard when you're sitting back there. So once somebody starts to do those things, you know straight the person got trust issues.
Yeah. You know,
to me it sounds like
invisible bond, you know, that hold a relationship
the lack of vulnerability in any kind of relationship. Bam, it's a red flag. This person got trust issue. I don't know what might have happened though, but it's there.
Yeah.
Sounds, you know, from what we all say, like you're suspicious, you're skeptical, right? You're scared to form meaningful relationships. It's hard for you to forgive. Possessive, being jealous, right? Sometimes
Yeah,
you can track people's
because
cars, put tracking devices on the car. You over analyzing everything. You're afraid to be vulnerable.
That's
So
another
all of
level.
those things, yeah, people do it. Yeah.
People do.
Jealous,
People
possessive.
do it.
Yeah.
That's some deep trust stuff.
it came at one point in the past, everybody's snooping. Like I always used to say, I always do my 6 month round detective work. That's what I do. I go snooping in the phone. That was in the past. Like making sure, like, because based on what Wayne said, you gotta stop questioning people now, like what's going on, how you gotta play that detective role now, try to figure out everything, what's your partner up to. So that was some of us in the past. But now it's like once you feel that, like, because a person will tell you, oh, why you being so insecure? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Now they try to shift blame, knowing that they're the one that caused that problem. But now they're trying to tell you that you're being insecure by doing certain things, by being, checking and snooping and finding out everything. So, but that was long gone.
I want to know if anyone can admit or feel like they're someone who had trust issues and they're in recovery, or if they still are not in recovery and they're still in the middle of, having trust issues. Yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna put my hand up because I know for a fact that I am. She put both hands up. I am trust issues. I'm in recovery for trust issues because of previous experiences.
Right.
And I think the first thing is recognizing, honestly, we've talked about the things that maybe other people have done to us, but when you're trying to get to a place where you're now recovering from that wound, you first have to acknowledge that, like, wow, I really do have this issue. I really don't trust people, and it shows because I'm suspicious. I'm questioning what they're doing. I question their motive. I give them the bombastic side eye, like, that ain't gonna work for me. All of those things that we do, or like my sister Martina said, we do the 6 month, round, searching. What should I look for? I always tell people in private practice, like especially the couples, don't go looking, because if you go looking, you'll likely find something. Even if it's nothing, you'll find something.
And I think snooping also amplify your whole trust issues.
Yes.
So,
yeah. And if somebody has broken your trust before and you're trying to now regain that trust, when you go snooping and God forbid you find something, even if they're literally in the process of working their little tail off to get out of the, out of the hole, it just breaks you down. And it takes you beyond where you just came from.
All the way back.
All the way back. So it's like, is it really worth it? Is it worth the mental anguish that's going to cause,
Right.
Something that we haven't talked about too much is how it's one thing to not trust other people, but sometimes our trust issues extend to ourselves.
Right.
Not really trusting ourselves for one reason or the other. So is that relatable to anybody? And then, really quickly, we'll just talk about what does that look like when you've gotten to a place where you're like, you know what? I realize I don't even trust myself.
I think you're touching on, you talked about self-reflection, right? Which I feel like is really important, but also setting realistic expectations too. Because I will say nobody's perfect, right? And it took me some time and, some growing and learning to realize that this man may not be perfect. This woman may not be perfect, but it's the level of distrust or the level of issues we've gone through and how we've tried to rectify it. I want to start with that. But I've got to a place where now, with being older and, having private practice, working different settings, having a family, and just, self-growth, that if a situation doesn't work for me or I don't feel like I can trust myself in my relationship, right, or to be faithful, right, realistically speaking, then it's for me to say, okay, I'm not going to be friends with this guy because I have a lot of male friends. Say, I feel like even without knowing this person, I'm attracted to them in some way and I don't trust myself with that person. So let's not even open that door for anything to, lead anywhere or for mishaps to happen. And the same with female relationships. If we've talked about this, if it's a relationship starting off and you're like, I don't know if I can trust this person, my guard, you don't even go into that relationship.
Yeah, because you don't trust yourself to be a good friend to them because you can't give them yourself fully. So you're just gonna have to pull back. So definitely, I think accountability, knowing where you are, where you're capable of, and where you're not, being true to yourself, knowing what takes you, and knowing the kind of person you can become if someone triggers certain things within you, that would make you not trust yourself to be in someone's space or to put yourself a part of a certain situation.
Yeah, so that first ask the question if we all have any trust issue that we are working on or that we have grabbed, and I have both of my hands up because I personally know as a person I do have some trust issue, and so and it's something that I'm working on, and because most of the time when it comes to trust, bare naked, right? When you have trust somebody, especially people in authority,
Right.
when you trust them and they let you down,
Right.
words are spoken.
Right.
Every time you kind of play that word over and those words over and over and over and over in your head, and you doing everything to work on it, to build this relationship. But stay, the words are there, and this is what I started up by saying: both parties has to be willing to put in the work to rebuild that which have been broken. But if the work is not done, every time you want to just say something shitty, then I can't afford to get there. So
Yep.
where I don't trust myself, I have trust issue in myself mostly is when it comes to my work. I don't know whether we'll call it trust or second guessing myself. Where my background came from fertility medicine, and people who don't know about this, I'm grateful to God for you. If you know about it, pray for us all. But it is dedicated.
Right.
So many times I stood there and questioned myself, oh my God, is this right? Am I really doing the right thing? Am I good enough to do this right? Would I be able to give this patient my all? Especially when you are being drained too.
Right.
So then that second guessing of yourself is where my own trust issue with myself is. Not just trusting myself to know that this is what I can do. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to step in there with boldness. I take that as arrogant. I'm always second guessing myself. I don't trust who.
Right.
Oh God. I will take a breath over and over to just go into one room to meet some of these women and the husbands and that. So that's why my trust issue had always been. It's like, because even up to now, I do that. I'll go take a test. I don't trust myself to pass that test. So I'm sitting there. I know I can't do this. I don't know this. I can't do this. So I have that too, and that's something I'm working on. Thanks to I'm a sales mom, right? He goes, Mommy, you got this. Mommy, you got this. So and you do it, and you come back and say, "Oh God,
I can do it."
So
Yeah. And Deborah, can I say something to you real quick in regards to you feeling arrogant whenever you tell yourself that you got this or you can do it? I don't think you should ever feel that way because you work hard to be where you are, and that is your profession, and you should be very confident in your work and yourself. And don't ever think because people come there because of what you chose to do and it trusts you. So you have to continue to take pride in that and wear that as a crown. I just wanted to say that to you.
And Deborah, I kind of want to touch too. It sounds kind of like imposter syndrome too, and Doc.
Yep.
We'll have a whole nother series on that. But it sounds like, with your profession and being capable enough, it sounds kind of like imposter syndrome. But that happens to everybody. I can certainly relate to that. But like Wynn said, trust me, positive affirmations. You have a doc right there, free therapy sessions, honey. Those things all help.
She feeds me food. I give her advice. There you go. No, and I think sometimes we conflate confidence with arrogance.
Right.
You can be confident, but that doesn't mean you're arrogant. And I think it's probably all of us here are Liberians, coming from where we're from. When the moment you start to, give yourself some, words of encouragement and make yourself feel confident, say, well, who you think you are anyway? The other person, she proud. And it's like, there is a difference, confidence is rooted in your knowledge, your wisdom, your skill set, your experience. You can be confident because you know I've gotten the education, I've gotten the experience, I've got the personality style for this particular thing. Arrogance, on the other hand, is like when you're like, you don't even necessarily have all the facts, but you're like, listen, y'all can't tell me nothing. There's no room for growth. You know, you're just straight up proud, and you don't have any room to learn and listen to anyone else. And a lot of arrogant people don't have the knowledge, skill set, or expertise. They're using that as what we would call like a compensatory strategy. They're trying to overcompensate for their lack. You know, that make themselves bigger. And it's like, really, you're making yourself bigger because you know that there's a lack there. You know, something that we didn't get to touch on, and I really am serious about, we probably gonna have to come back, y'all, because this is too much. But something we didn't get to touch on too much is how sometimes, we talked about our trust issues being rooted in trauma, being rooted in past experiences. But something we didn't really get to talk too much about was that sometimes our trust issue stems all the way back to our childhood.
Yeah.
You know? And our, you know, there's a whole, maybe I'll do a series on attachment styles. You know, if we were in, you know, in our parents, you know, where we didn't have a secure attachment with them, you know, or we had a parent who was really anxious, you know, and like pouring that onto us. And so now we're not sure, do I move in, do I not move in? You know, or we had a parent who 1 minute, oh, I love you, baby, come kiss me, it's okay. And then the next minute, they're like, what are you doing over there? They send mixed signals, and all of that stuff gets internalized. And we don't quite know how to act in the midst of other people now because they've laid the foundation for us to not fully trust. So I can't feel secure in this relationship because I'm not sure which version of you I'll get to. You know? So are you going to be like nice, friendly, warm, or are you going to be like, what's he doing? Wait, pick the thing up. Or, like, which version am I going to see? And so we don't trust. So we become anxious in ourselves. And that anxiety then shows up in our relationship now as adults. Okay, so we're basically at the end, and I just kind of want to get from each of you any advice that you would have on, you know, for somebody who is struggling with trust issues. What are some things that you can say to them to help them? Because as we mentioned before, it can be really painful. That hurt when trust is broken, it does something to you. So what are some advice that you would give to individuals on that issue? So we can go, we'll do Dr. Gehyigon-Wallace, then we'll do Wynn, and then we'll do Martina, and then we'll come to the studio, Deborah and I. So, Dr. Wallace.
Yes, I would say the first is just what is you got to admit your truth, right? Or at least know your truth. So, first thing is, yes, I have trust issues. And then what are some of the ways that I can, you know, help manage these trust issues? You got to start off slow, right? Forgive, take time to rebuild, and certainly give yourself room and also forgive yourself too. And there's always medications and therapy.
I know that's right.
Medication and therapy, self-reflection, right? You can, you know, do some self-reflection, meditating. But if it's unmanageable with those ways, you can always seek professional help. And that's okay too. And that's something we'll talk about, being okay with seeking professional mental help.
Yeah. That's coming up. That's coming up as well. So I want to mention, you know, even though it sounds like a plug, I'm so glad you said that, because what's important to know is that trust issues go beyond just saying, oh, I have trust issues. That sometimes it gets so bad that it can lead to anxiety. It can lead to depression. It can lead to panic attack. The person just left and went to buy, you know, water for your house. They took more than 30 minutes and you're already panicking. Thinking, oh my goodness, what are they doing over there? You know what I mean? It can lead to sleepless nights, just insomnia. God forbid the person went on a conference, you know, somewhere, and you're in the house by yourself. You're up all night thinking about all this stuff. When you're feeling those things, we're going to do a part 2 and probably a part 3. When you're feeling those things, it's a signal right there that this is beyond your average trust issue.
Exactly.
Wynn, any advice that you have for someone that's struggling with trust issues?
Yeah, I'm just going to piggyback off what Dr. Wallace stated. Pretty much just saying that being aware and being honest when you come across people that you are trying to build with, just let them know from the jump that you do have concerns, you do have some trust issues, and and also don't fault yourself even when others do wrong you. Know that it's not your fault. So letting go of what others have chose to do with their life, they made that decision. Don't allow that to pretty much um, don't allow that to overtake how you go about your life,
Right.
because you didn't make that. You're not the one who broke their trust, they broke yours. So
Right.
you can allow them to take that over, where it will stop you from creating and rebuilding. As Deborah stated earlier, you have to give other people chances too, because those people do exist.
Right.
You just have to give everyone a chance that you come across, because you do deserve to have good people in your life as well.
100%. Martina, any advice for someone? Thank you so much for that, Wynn. I love the whole give someone a chance to not let it hinder you from building, like a new trusting relationship. I want to point on that really quickly, because I think sometimes our previous hurt it can hinder us from now establishing a healthier relationship. Just because that person did it to you doesn't mean you should rob yourself of
Right.
another healthy relationship, healthy friendship, or even an opportunity to talk to someone and work through the issue.
So when it comes to, trusting someone, you just have to give that next person, you got to trust yourself, believe in yourself, and give the other person a chance to. Both of you guys can work on it.
Something we said a lot is we talked about trusting, kind of trying to trust again. And we were talking about our sixth sense. We all have that sixth sense, but when something's up. Like your little antennas go up, like hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. Sometimes we ignore it, and when we ignore it, it backfires.
Right.
But to be fair, when we've been hurt in the past, I use this in private practice. I say sometimes our antenna is not quite broken, but it's a little bent. Okay, it may not be as straight as we think it is. Whereas before it was spot on. But if something has happened now, something happened in the past, it can kind of it throws off the calibration of your antenna. So we want to also not always an anxious gut is not one that you want to follow. A traumatized gut is not one that you want to follow, because it's rooted in fear. It's coming from a place of protection. It's coming from a place of suspiciousness. So we want to be mindful. It's good to trust our gut, but make sure that your gut is a clear gut. Make sure that it's not one that's already a little bit shattered, a little bit broken, a little bit bent. Okay?
Make sure your gut is a clear gut. It's not anxious. You have detox that gut. You got it
all the toxins
out. The junk is out, and now you're going into this one being so hopeful and prepared to be vulnerable. Just be prepared. Just know that as you go into it, and this is this is the affirmation that I start to read to myself, that every morning I get up, I'll tell myself I am patient. So trust is a big thing for me when it comes to moving on and being patient. And I kind of felt good about it a couple of weeks, a week or something ago. That was your patience. And she don't even know what that did, because I just said, and I said, oh God, thank you. It's really working, because that was something I worked on. I've been praying for, working on, that God gave me patience, because I know that's how I would deal with this trust issue. If not, I mistrust you, you do that. Bye, man. Bye, sir. I'm gone. It's over. But I am praying to God for patience, so I can be able to allow myself and give the other person the opportunity to work through issues.
Right.
What advice do we give? You've all mentioned it. First and foremost, acknowledge that you do have the issue, right? Evaluate, okay, what are certain behaviors I see in myself? Because the thing is, if we're just saying trust issue, but we don't know the behaviors that we're seeing, we can't really address the issue. Right. So if my behavior is, I start freaking out every time my partner leaves, then I need to deep breathe my way through there. I need to do some meditation. I need to go to scripture. I need to pray. Lord, I need you to calm me down so that my system is anchored. You know, if your issue is checking people's phone, listen, I need to substitute that checking people's phone behavior with something else. How can I prevent myself from doing that? So identify your exact, symptom or behavioral manifestation. What does it look like for you? Because my trust issue looked different from Deborah's, and looks, and Wynn and Dr. Wallace and Martina, it looks different. So what is it for you? And then work on that individual thing for yourself, right? And then the other thing that was mentioned here is that give people an opportunity to kind of like repair. Something we don't do anymore is we don't give any room for repair. There's gotta be room for repair. Let them be able to go make a mistake. Because if we made a mistake, we would want someone to say, you know what, I'm gonna give you a second chance at this thing, If they kind of are a repeat offender, now we know you can't be in this space. We got a firm boundary because you're a repeat offender, because you had an opportunity to repair. You said, oh yeah, I won't do it again. And then you came back and you did it, and you did it again. Now we got a problem. So at that point, it becomes about, you protecting your own space and your own sanity. And then the other thing I would say when it comes to all of us that have trust issues, our gut is not fully detoxed. So we can't 100% go with our gut. So what we want to do in that case is, rather than following our feelings, follow the facts. What do you know to be true about this person? Because a lot of times we will completely ignore the fact that, oh, they're kind, they've been there for me, they're supportive, they're all that stuff. We'll just see them. That one time, the way she looked at me, she looked like she was thinking bad thoughts. What have they done? Okay. What does the facts say? Let your decisions be grounded in facts and not in feelings, because our feelings are skewed and it could really get us in a lot of trouble. So any last minute thoughts? Because that's it. We're going to wrap up.
No, I was going to say thank you so much for having me. This has been very interesting. Definitely things to keep working on, right? Like everybody else. So this has been amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I'm very proud of you, sis. You did good. Wynn?
Yes, just piggybacking off both ladies here. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I love having these kind of conversations. When Dr. Wallace called me about it, I was like, sure. I was excited for her in the first place when she said she was going to be on your podcast. I said, that's awesome, and she was like, I think you would be good too. Come join, because you like conversations like this. But I really do enjoy it, and I'm really glad I joined today. So thank you again.
Thank you so much.
So thank you, Doc. Thank you for having me. I'm still nervous. Everything she bad naked. My stomach is growling from nervousness. Okay.
No, you did great. You did amazing.
I think you was like one of the most vulnerable.
I'm a behind the scene person. She knows that. But I'm glad to have come out here and talk, because now I got something to add to my little bit of knowledge about whatever I thought trust issue was.
Everybody added so much depth to this conversation. I learned a lot myself, right? And I'm grateful to each of you for taking the time just to be here to share your knowledge. No one's an expert on anything. We're all collectively learning and growing. And you all were wonderful. Once again, thank you for joining the Bare Naked podcast. Stay tuned. Please like, subscribe, and share our podcast. We're trying to build our channel. We've got so much more to give to the world. Let this be our opportunity for them to see each of us and say, wow, something good can come from a small little country called Liberia. Again, thank you all so much. And as always, be the light that shines in someone else's darkness. Thank you.